Let's take Stuart next.
Hello, thank you. I was
Hey, how are you?
so stressed because I couldn't get StreamYard to work, so I just got on my phone.
Cool.
My,
Glad you're
I've
here.
been I told our Sunday school class that all dreams come from God, and I saw resistance, shaking heads. And my friend Don Town spoke up and said he had a nightmare from when he was 28 years old. That would have been like 1987. I said, well, I'm going to find an interpretation for you because I haven't been able to unpack it. I
Sounds
was
fun.
driving down the street and I saw a car that was driving into a lagoon. I got out of my truck, grabbed my chainsaw, and started cutting a tree that had fallen on the car. Then a sheriff who was on the scene grabbed me by the throat, pulled out his gun, rolled us into the street, and shot me in the head. A car then ran over both of us, and the next thing I knew, I'm running through the woods and I jumped the fence. Some people were there, and the governor said, "Let's not forget about the young man." That's it.
Interesting. This is a really cool dream with a whole lot of symbology.
Hmm.
So he talked about how he was driving his car down a road, sees a car going into a lagoon. There's a tree on it, jumps out of his truck, grabs a chainsaw to cut it down. And then the sheriff pulls up, and then the sheriff grabs him, and he's in the road. And both of us got, or is that him and the sheriff that got ran over?
Yeah, the sheriff grabbed Don and by the throat and pulled, let's see, grabbed Don by the throat, pulled out his gun, rolled us into the street. I think like pulled Don down into the street and shot him in the head.
And then a
And
car
then
ran
a
over both.
car ran over both of them. And I said,
Interesting.
"Don, did you die?" And he said, "Yes." But then he said, the next part is, and the next thing I knew, I'm running through the woods and I jumped the fence. Some people were there, and the governor said, "Let's not forget about the young man."
Does he have any idea who the young man is?
He does not that I know of.
Okay. Did he ever find out who was in the car?
No, he doesn't know any of the people that he
Okay.
mentioned to me.
All right, cool. Yeah, this is the idea that he's traveling along in his car, going about his business. A car represents his work, his vehicle to destiny, whatever he's doing in his
Right.
normal life that's carrying him into the future. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of this, he comes along somebody else that's really getting bogged down. They're getting stuck and stuck to the point that, their life could be in danger. And so what he does is he stops. First of all, he stops his momentum. He gets out of the car and he goes to help. So he takes the tools that he has, which is a chainsaw, and he cuts the tree that presumably is pushing down on the top of the car to push it further into the lagoon. And so he cuts the tree to be able to free the person that's getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the process of literally creating freedom for someone with the tools that he has in his truck, which again represent his career or whatever it is that he does on a daily basis, um, he's apprehended by a legal maneuver. So, the sheriff represents a legal play, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily a criminal play, but a legal play. And this obviously sounds like a dirty legal maneuver because the sheriff does not appear to be acting lawfully in what he's done. Shooting somebody in the head for cutting down a tree and helping somebody that's in a lagoon is obviously not an appropriate response for law enforcement. So again, law enforcement, I don't believe represents police. I don't believe it represents criminal action against him. What I do believe is it represents either a legal play, as in something that has to do with court, getting sued potentially, God forbid, or somebody doing some sort of injunction or legal maneuver, and or also the spirit of legalism, which is probably it's probably more likely the spirit of legalism because we can clearly see that this is figurative. So when it grabs somebody by the throat, the attempt there is to stop the voice and to choke out
Mm-hmm.
someone's breath. So a spirit of legalism that sees him helping somebody that clearly can't help themselves. This could play out like somebody that owns a business suddenly deciding that they want to hire a homeless person. So they're using the tools of what they do, and they're chopping down the tree, which is what's holding them down, drowning them from a financial perspective, trying to push their head underwater. And so the whole idea is rescuing that, and somebody else who's not involved in the rescue at all, who should actually be helping to rescue. And this could even be like a pastor, somebody that should be helping somebody that could be like a homeless person or an unemployed person, comes, and instead of helping, the first thing they do is they try to take the voice of the person that's doing the helping. So again, not a literal dream, figurative dream, but the spirit of legalism is trying to take his voice and then literally tussles with him, like rolls him onto the road. So it's the idea that there's a struggle there. And again, if you're going to shoot somebody in the head and you have them by the throat, why not just shoot them in the head? Why would you throw them unless either they wanted to make it look like there was a struggle, or your friend was struggling back, which it doesn't sound like by his verbiage that he was struggling back. It sounded like all of this were the actions taken on the part of the other party to throw him in the road. And then what happens is a car, somebody else in their vehicle to destiny, moving along the highway of life, comes and runs over the both of them. Well, it's not really a big a big matter of consequence to him in particular, because he's already been shot in the head. So at this point, whatever damage is done by the other person, the third person now, the fourth person in the dream. So the first person in the dream is the person is the dreamer. The second is the guy in the car in the lagoon. The third is the sheriff, and then the fourth would be the driver of the vehicle. So now whatever happens from this fourth person, literally it's like being thrown under the bus, right, is of no consequence to the dreamer, because he's already dead to whatever this situation is. He's had his voice taken away. He's had his mind blown. That's the whole idea of being shot in the head. His mind is blown by the treatment that he's receiving from somebody that you would think would be coming to help and assist me. And it would actually be part of their job to help and assist, but instead they're capturing me with the spirit of legalism. They're ignoring the actual victim of the situation. They're trying to choke me and take my voice. Then they're rolling me into the street and shooting me in the head. So whatever it is, there's a point that after the surprise is over, where his mind is blown and his voice has been taken, where he's just over it. He's like done with the whole situation and he's dead to it. So what happens next is something runs over him and the spirit of legalism, which is really more of consequence to the spirit of legalism than it is to him. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is he transitions to now this new place, and now he's running in the woods, hops over a fence, which means decides to violate a boundary, right? Or is on one side of the fence and gets on the other side of the fence. So there's a decision, or probably a boundary. It could be a political boundary. Because of what this dream is talking about, it may be a religious boundary. It may be the idea of leaving one church and going to another church, where people are, I would never go to that kind of church, and they go to that kind of church, and then, they're on the other side of the fence. Being on the other side of the fence, now they see a much, much higher legal authority, which is the governor, and the governor is saying, let's not forget the young man. I feel like, and this is just a sense, and we don't know from the information in the dream, like the young man was the driver of the car in the lagoon. But I also feel like this is almost like if you ever save somebody's life, you get invited to like an awards dinner, and the mayor or the governor or somebody is presenting an award for thank you for your citizen heroism and jumping in and saving the life of. So I almost felt like it was kind of that type of thing, that it was some sort of acknowledgement for the work that he did in helping this young man that was stuck in the lagoon. So it seems like, and it's very vivid for a reason. It's very vivid because there's either something that he already went through, and you may tell him this or show him this. And by the way, we're going to send you the clip of this. And
I asked him to be on here too. And if it's relevant, this would have been 87. He didn't get saved until 2000. And he had a pretty rough background as far as I remember his testimony.
Yeah. Well, it could be one of the reasons why a spirit of legalism particularly. Again, it's a person of authority too. I just feel like the spirit of legalism typically is a religious spirit. And so the idea of it being somebody in authority, to me, it's like a pastor. It's like a pastor persecuting somebody for doing something that they should be, like taking care of the poor or taking care of an ex-con or giving somebody an opportunity to be gainfully employed in a business. And it's something that the pastor's not doing and he's doing, and now he's getting persecuted for that. And it, first of all, he tries to take his voice and then it blows his mind. Like, why the heck is this guy doing? And then he's just over it. He's dead to the situation. And now he's in this other place. But that spirit of legalism is going to get what's coming to him as well. There's consequences for him in what he's doing.
That's cool. I can't wait to hear from him. I had broken out the symbols and got some of the words that you mentioned. Just couldn't put it together. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very cool dream. Tell him thanks for sharing. And, if you get a follow-up story on it, we'd love to hear it.
Great. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.